Ever wonder why someone would willingly choose to go hungry when food is everywhere around us? What if I told you this ancient practice could completely transform your spiritual life? Stick around, because what you're about to discover might change everything you thought you knew about connecting with God. God designed the human body as an incredibly fine-tuned physical engine with tremendous power. But here's the thing. It needs fuel to keep running. That fuel is what we call food. He built into us an appetite, something we know as hunger, to make sure our bodies receive that fuel. Food satisfies our cravings and gives us energy. It's all part of nature's balance to keep life moving forward. So why would anyone choose to go without eating? In our modern world, we're conditioned to eat 3 times daily. We're constantly reminded that a good breakfast is the foundation of the day. Eat so you'll be strong, they taught us in school. 3 full meals plus exercise. That was a formula for strength. But here's where things get interesting. The world calls not eating dieting, and usually it's done to drop some pounds or for health reasons. But some people stop eating for spiritual reasons. The Bible mentions this as fasting. A fast is normally done for a defined period to reach a spiritual goal. Think about it differently than you've been taught. Consider this example from the Old Testament. Once every year, faithful Jews were required to fast. This became a permanent statute. In the 7th month, on the 10th day, they would afflict their souls and perform no work whatsoever, whether native born or foreigner living among them. This observance on the Day of Atonement became known as the Yom Kippur fast, which literally means Day of Atonement. God required his people to fast once annually on this Day of Atonement. Everyone stopped eating. But why everyone? Because God desired that all will remember the solemn experience of their salvation. On this day, the high priest entered the Holy of Holies and offered an animal's blood in exchange for everyone's sins. He would wash his flesh with water in the holy place, dress in his garments, come out, and offer his burnt offering along with the people's burnt offering, making atonement for himself and for the people. Since the Day of Atonement dealt with the nation's sins, everyone fasted to identify with the high priest who sacrificed a lamb for forgiveness of their wrongdoings. This wasn't just a ritual. It was a profound spiritual connection. Jesus told his disciples something crucial. When you fast, notice he didn't say if you fast. When you fast, don't show a sad face like the hypocrites, because they disfigure their faces to show others are fasting. Truly I tell you, they've already received their complete reward. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so it won't be obvious to others that you're fasting, only to your Father who is hidden. And your Father who sees what's done in secret will reward you. When you give up both pleasant and necessary foods, you capture God's attention. Even back then, Jesus warned us not to flaunt our fasting. He alerted his disciples not to fast for public acclaim. The fact that he said, "Whenever you fast," indicates he considers a legitimate spiritual discipline. Fasting is temporarily abstaining from a bodily desire, usually food, in favor of a spiritual need. Instead of eating, you dedicate yourself to private prayer, seeking God's intervention in the realm. However, if your goal in avoiding food is for others to praise how spiritual you appear, then their approval will be your reward. Nothing more, nothing less. If you've never fasted before, the idea of going without food for any length of time is probably terrifying. People worry about various issues because we're programmed to eat 3 times daily. Many wonder if they'll feel hungry and whether hunger pains will be painful. Others have different concerns, like whether they can actually hold out. They don't want to embark on a journey they can't complete. What if you see a TV commercial suggesting a chocolate bar will help you overcome the afternoon energy slump? Others worry about how friends will perceive them if they fast. Will my friends think I'm weird if they discover I'm fasting? The answer is simple. You don't fast to impress friends, and generally, you don't even tell them. As already mentioned, Jesus said when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so you won't appear meant to be fasting, but to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you publicly. Jesus was reminding us not to make an outward spectacle of our religious dedication to God. On the other hand, fasting is a private commitment between you and God. You can fast privately without telling anyone. Other times you'll participate in a public fast, like with your church or another person to resolve an issue. Ezra fasted with 4,000 people, and Esther asked all believing Jews to fast for divine intervention. Each year in May, Christians are invited to participate in the National Day of Prayer and Fasting. Fasting isn't the same as dieting, and it's not the same as eliminating food for health. There are many types of fasts for spiritual reasons. There are numerous reasons to fast and accompany the experience with prayer. It's a biblical discipline that can help anyone improve their spiritual attitude and become a prayer warrior for God. Some believe Christians don't require discipline. However, we build our strength through spiritual exercises. We must remember we're soldiers, and a good soldier is versed in various disciplines. Fasting is just one of many disciplines for a Christian. Jesus told his disciples that when you pray for others, whether for your church or people's salvation, Satan will oppose you. Fasting, like climbing a mountain, is demanding both spiritually and physically. Embark on this adventure with a clear understanding of what you're doing and with the knowledge that the path ahead may be difficult, but the benefits will be well worth it. Start small if this is your first fast. God will honor your first step of faith, which may seem small to others, but will be a giant leap for you. God also cares about your heart's response during the fast. Your attitude is a very serious part of your fasting. Just as when a man proposes marriage to a woman, it's not the length of a proposal that gets a yes, but his heart. Therefore, when you begin fasting, don't worry about how long it should last. Just make sure your relationship with God is in good order. God knows everything. He understands and values the sincerity of your prayers more than their length. So if you've never fasted before, begin by skipping one meal. In the Old Testament, Jews were required to fast for one day on Yom Kippur each year. A day began at sunset and ended at sunset the following day according to the Jewish calendar. God taught the Jews to count their days this way. The evening and the morning were the first day. Plan to start your fast when the sun sets, or perhaps a little before sunset. This means you'll skip the normal evening meal, then breakfast and lunch the next day. After the sun sets, most Jews broke the fast by eating a normal meal. Although private prayer and fasting are the foundation of all intercession, if you've never walked this path before, you might want to start your journey with another person. If you're fasting for a specific answer to prayer, invite someone to pray and fast alongside you. There's strength in numbers, as Jesus said. Truly I tell you, whatever you forbid on earth will be forbidden in heaven, and whatever you permit on earth will be permitted in heaven. Again, truly I tell you that if two of you on earth agree about anything you ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. These verses aren't just about prayer. They're also about the commitment we make in agreement with another person. Think about it this way. When you plan a vacation with someone else, it's more memorable if you plan, dream, and share experiences together. When you share your vacation with another person, you'll probably enjoy it more. The same holds true for fasting. When you share the experience of fasting and praying together, your prayers will probably be more focused. Fasting with another person offers additional advantages. You have someone to discuss your doubts, questions, and fears with. If fasting scares you, another person's strength can help you overcome it. You can always call that person for advice and ask how everything's going. That phone call can give you the motivation you need to continue. Don't forget the celebration. When you climb the mountain alone, you're only proving yourself, and the victory is yours alone. However, when you climb with others, you have many people to celebrate with when you reach the summit. They celebrate, embrace each other, and then return to tell everyone about their victory. When you finish the fast, you can rejoice together. Simply being together makes the taste of victory even sweeter. Another advantage of fasting with a friend is that it establishes accountability. You'll be less tempted to grab a snack or break your fast if you know a friend is aware of your commitment. Maybe you've already run or walked for health with a friend. If so, you understand how having a companion can help you stay committed when things get tough. If you're strong, perhaps you don't need someone to help with accountability. But if you're not, collaborating with someone in the same situation can be beneficial. When you're preparing a fast, look deeply into your heart to discover why you're fasting. There are countless reasons to fast, which we'll discuss. You might already have a reason when the young David faced Goliath. No other Israelite soldier wanted to face the giant. Not only did they refuse to fight Goliath, but each gave David a different reason to avoid the battle. However, David wasn't dissuaded. He had a compelling reason to fight that particular giant. It's not just about praying and fasting. We fast for a reason. Are you willing to fast and give up your pleasure? Make a list of your causes. Write them on paper so you can see them with your own eyes. When you keep a cause only in your mind, it can become murky or vague. You might have a general idea of why you should fast right now, but take time to write down your reasons. This will sharpen your focus. Seeing it written out makes all the difference. Plan everything. Don't enter your fast casually or with a careless attitude. Plan to succeed. If you don't, you'll likely fail. Don't participate in a fast just to see how far you can get. I'll try until I feel hungry. Some people have said about fasting, then they quit at the first sign of discomfort. Make a firm commitment to fast for one day regardless of circumstances. You've moved from thinking about fasting and wishing to be more spiritual to taking the next step and committing to seek God for your cause. You're committing to fast based on God's grace and help. There are several types of fasts. The absolute fast is one where you eliminate all food and water. Paul followed this type after seeing the Lord Jesus on the road to Damascus and being affected by blindness. He was 3 days without vision and neither ate nor drank. In your first fast, don't follow the absolute approach. This is meant for those who are deeply distressed or fasting to resolve a serious problem, like deliverance from addiction or protection against a spiritual adversary. The normal fast is when you avoid all solid foods and drink only liquids. Fasting, most often used in the Bible, refers to people not eating solid food. The question of drinking liquids is generally omitted. In those days, Jesus ate nothing, and afterward, when they ended, he was hungry. There's no mention of Jesus drinking liquids. When people fast, what do they drink? Many eliminate pleasant beverages like sodas and various types of fruit juices. This corresponds to the Old Testament description of them afflicting and fasting. The partial fast is when you eliminate certain liquids or solids, but not all. This is also known as a Daniel fast because he didn't eat from the king's table but insisted, "Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us only vegetables to eat and water to drink." The fast didn't harm Daniel or his friends. At another time, Daniel reflected the spirit of the partial approach. "I ate no delicate foods, nor did meat or wine touch my lips, and I used no lotions until the 3 weeks ended." This is a partial fast that specifies what Daniel avoided. First, pleasant food similar to our donuts or cakes, a dessert fast. Second, meat, a meatless diet. Third, wine, that which is pleasant or brings joy. It's about eliminating what brings physical pleasure to focus on spiritual matters. John Wesley's approach is worth noting. As founder and leader of the great Methodist movement, Wesley summoned all his circuit preachers to the New Chapel in London for a conference every 3 months. To prepare spiritually for the conference, Wesley fasted for 10 days before each meeting, consuming only natural whole grain bread and drinking water. He fasted and prayed for spiritual power to influence their ministries at those gatherings. Everyone agrees those Methodist preachers left the conference intending to change the world. These preachers established the largest Protestant denomination in the world, a reflection of God honoring Wesley's spiritual dedication to fasting and prayer. His commitment wasn't just personal. It transformed an entire movement. The rotation fast is rarely used in Christian circles because it's mainly used for medical purposes, primarily to determine a person's reaction or allergy to specific food groups. To cleanse their system, the patient generally performs a normal or absolute fast for 1 day. Then for 6 days, only one new food group is introduced and consumed each day, rotating among the 6 food groups. This helps determine what food is causing a physical problem in the person through elimination and exclusion. So how do you choose which approach is right for you? There are several factors to consider. Look at your specific situation before deciding the best approach. Here are some ideas. First, the experience factor. As mentioned before, if this is your first fast, I recommend starting with the 1-day Yom Kippur approach. If you wish to fast for a longer period to address a serious or ongoing problem, perhaps fasting 1 day per week for 3 weeks is preferable to starting with a 3-day fast. Remember, if this is your first experience, you're embarking on an unknown journey. You should proceed cautiously because you're learning new skills and attitudes for both your body and soul. Your first attempt should be a normal fast where you don't eat anything. Only consume liquids for 1 day. This practice will help train your body not to react if you later eliminate both food and liquid. Second, the correspondence factor. You should try to match your fasting motive with the type you choose. Choose a normal approach for a routine request. Choose one with stricter requirements for a more serious problem. The intensity should match the urgency. Third, the comfort factor. You should feel at peace with both the duration and type. Obviously, when deciding what you'll eliminate while praying, you shouldn't doubt yourself, nor should you feel guilty about doing something wrong. Choose a type that allows you to be comfortable with your decision. Peace in your heart matters. Fourth, the time factor. Various factors influence your decision or the duration. You should think about your weekly schedule. What days of the week aren't suitable? What special event is coming up when fasting isn't advisable? Thanksgiving, Christmas, weddings, etc.? Never begin with a long duration, since you have no idea what to expect from your body or how you'll react emotionally. A one-day approach is very straightforward. Whatever you choose as your first experience, keep in mind it's a leap of faith. God sees your heart and will reward you accordingly. May God grant us wisdom to understand the spiritual purpose and benefits of this practice, reminding us it's not the abstinence of food by itself that brings us closer to Him, but the sincerity of our hearts and the pursuit of a deeper connection through prayer. May we fast not to be visible in the eyes of others, but to be visible to God's heart, who sees in secret and rewards openly. We thank the Lord for the strength and discipline this practice provides, teaching us to depend more on Him and less on ourselves. This journey isn't about deprivation, it's about devotion. It's not about what you give up, but what you gain in return. A closer walk with the Creator of the universe, a sharper spiritual sensitivity, and answers to prayers that might otherwise go unanswered. The sacrifice is temporary, but the spiritual breakthrough can last a lifetime.